actually, before I can start the webinar, or when I start the webinar, Joe, it automatically records. I don't even have to
Oh,
press another button. So
wow.
set that up for
Fantastic.
myself. I know. Hello, everyone. We're just getting this live here on YouTube as well. So we're excited that you guys are able to join us on all sorts of platforms. Say hello when you hop on. If you can do that in the chat, that would be wonderful. And if you're joining us on YouTube, go ahead and comment as well. As we go through our topic today and questions, etc., feel free to post your questions in the Q&A if you are on Zoom. And then if you are on YouTube or Facebook or wherever you're seeing us, comments would be best there. So, hello, welcome to the Fixed Blood Sugar webinar. If this is your first time, would you let us know in the chat? After I just told you to go to the Q&A, now I'm telling you to go to the chat. But let us know if it's your first time. And we'll let you guess which one of us is Dr. Saunders.
Are you gonna let my dog out?
Okay, it's not him. All right, so now
That's
you know.
the invisible man.
Now you know. I'm Leslie. I am your host today. I've probably talked with a lot of you, and I'm just excited to be here with both Joe and Dr. Saunders. Joe is the founder of our company, so he's been around for a while.
Ta-da!
There he is.
Every time I hop on a Zoom call, my dog just decides he needs my attention and has to go outside. Perfect timing.
Yeah, that's how it goes. And Dr. Saunders, how long have you been a part of the Barton team?
Just a little bit less than Joe.
Yeah, October 2007, we sat down at a breakfast together at an event, and God collided our paths.
Love it. And primarily on these webinars, you'll hear us talking about the diabetes solution kit. So if this is something that you're not familiar with, you're probably going to want to go check this out. So you can find it at bartonwebinar.com. This is the printed copy, which many of you probably have, but you can also get the digital version of this, which you can have today, which is just lovely. But lots of good information. If you're somebody who's looking to reverse your diabetes, you have a loved one maybe who's dealing with type 2 diabetes, or maybe you're pre-diabetic, or you don't want to be. Good information. Honestly, it's good information even if you don't have type 2. It's still just filled with really good stuff. So highly encourage you to get that out, and you will hear us reference that throughout the webinar today. One quick reminder is that Dr. Saunders is a medical doctor, but he is not your doctor. So please consult with your healthcare provider before you implement any of the things that we talk about today. And today is going to be a really good topic. We're actually going to be talking about commitment. And boy, that's a tough thing. This is gonna be a tough thing to follow or to maybe look internally at ourselves when we're talking about commitment, and a really good thing that we need to talk about. So let's dig into this. Dr. Saunders, I'm going to let you take the reins. I know this is something you wanted to chat about today, so here we go.
Okay, so why are we all here today? We are here because we want to make changes in our lives. I'm here because I'm supposed to, my job is to help people make changes in their lives. And you know, when I had a functional medicine program, I had a program that people followed. It was similar to the Diabetes Solution Kit, and it would change somewhat depending on the individual needs. But mostly there was a specific program outlined. I went and did talks. I'd go out and I'd have a seminar, and we'd have 25, 30 people at a seminar, and half of those would sign up to come in and make an appointment to see me, and about half of them. So we'd end up with 4 or 5 people out of those 20 or 30 from a seminar that would come in, that would make a commitment to change. And when I said, are you ready to commit to change? Yes, I really want to change. Okay, so your program is a 6-month program, and it's going to be $6,000, and you're going to pay the $6,000 up front. It's non-refundable. You're making a commitment. How do I know you're making a commitment? Because you're putting money on the table. You're actually going to pay a non-refundable fee to make a change. And if you don't make the change, then you're not getting out of it what you want. And you know what? The people that did that, when they made that kind of commitment, they stuck to it. They came into their appointments. They saw, I had a nutritionist, a health coach. We were doing IV vitamin treatments, hyperbaric oxygen treatments. We had a naturopathic doctor, medical doctor. You had an appointment every week. You had somebody to see and something to do. And so in that process, a lot of people made changes, and a lot of them are still my patients today. And they say, oh, remember 10 years ago when I did that program? Yeah, I lost 30 pounds. Wow, I felt great. I gained it all back. Okay. Commitment. What is commitment? Well, there are exactly 4 things that are required. 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Not more, not less. There are 4 things required. This is easy to remember. Required for what? Required for change. If you want to make a change in your life, if you want to improve your life in any way, you need 4 things. Let's say you want to learn to play the piano. Okay, that's an improvement, right? You improve your ability to play the piano. You can entertain people. You have more power of entertainment, at least, or the ability to bring people's feelings. You can do stuff. You can play the piano in church so people can sing. There's so many things you can do if you know how to play the piano. So that gives you more power. How are you going to get that? Well, you have 4 things. You have a goal. And you need to have a specific goal, and then you need to have a plan. And your plan has to be a real plan. It can't be a fake plan. And I know there are a lot of fake plans out there for goals. And then you make a commitment, and then you make a sacrifice. Those are the 4 things for any change or any improvement in your life. So if you start with our program, you come in here and you buy the diabetes solution kit. Is that a commitment? Well, $20 is hardly a commitment, okay? And the reason it's priced at $20, you want to know the real reason it's priced at $20? Joe can tell you why. It's because people aren't willing to risk more than that. But most people are like, yeah, I'll risk $20, and that's like sort of a limit. When you get over 20, people start going, no, I'm not going to risk, $25 for that. So you can hardly call that a commitment. The fact that you bought the book. Okay, so that's not it. So a goal. Start out with a goal. And the book starts you on this. When you get into the diabetes solution kit, you go through there. What's your why? What's your goal? Why are you doing this? And you have to have a why. If you don't have a goal, then you don't know where you're going. When Alice in Wonderland lands down in Wonderland, and she meets a Cheshire cat, and there's a fork in the road, and the Cheshire cat is at the fork in the road in a tree, and Alice says, well, which way should I go? And the cat says, that depends on where you want to end up. And she goes, well, I don't know where I want to end up. Then it doesn't matter which way you go. So if nothing matters, then nothing matters, then you can't move ahead. So we have in our program, we watch this all the time. And we know that between 10 and 20% of you do it. You buy the book and you follow it. You write out your plan. You write out your why. And you start the phase 1 and you do the phase 1 and you write back to us, wow, I did it and it works. And we also know that 80% of you don't do it. 80% of you keep looking for the motivation. Okay, let's go if I go on the webinars every week, Dr. Saunders is going to tell me something that's going to like click and make everything work for me. They're looking for, or maybe you are looking for, outside motivation or outside encouragement or outside commitment. That's not the way it works. It has to come from inside. It has to come from within you. So you make a goal and you say, I want to be drug-free with normal blood sugar. Okay, then that's your goal. Okay, so your goal has to have a time period. When do you want to be drug-free with normal blood sugar? And normal blood pressure, maybe? I don't know, whatever your goal is, write it down. So I'm going to give you a minute, write down your goal. What is it? What is it that you want to accomplish? Is it that you want to stay on drugs and just continue just having a relatively normal blood sugar in the okay range that your doctor said, as long as your hemoglobin A1C is less than 7.1, then you're okay, or 7.2, I think they say now. Or you can have a specific goal that says, I want a hemoglobin A1C of 5.4, okay, because between 5.1 and 5.4 is the optimum place to be. So if you say, okay, I don't think I can get 5.1, but I can get 5.4, so I'm going to make my goal 5.4. That's great. You know, it doesn't matter. Well, it does matter what your goal is, but just set your goal and say, this is what I want. Hemoglobin A1C 5.1 by September 2025. So then you have a year to get there. Okay, that's a reasonable goal. That's an achievable goal for most people with type 2. Even if you have serious type 2, that's an achievable goal. So look at what your goal is. That's starting. That starts your program, because without a goal, you don't know where you're going. It's not going to work. It's not going to go anywhere. So write it down. Okay. Number 2, have a plan. Well, you know what? We've given you a plan. Practically, it's a gift. $20. Come on. Practically, it's a gift. This gift of a plan is something that has been developed over many years. I didn't make it up. It was around before I was born. It was being used for people with diabetes. It was being used for people with epilepsy. You know, this diet, this phase 1 of the program, was not our invention. It was just put together into a kit to make it easy for you to accomplish it. So you can go step by step through the plan. So there's a real plan all written out for you already. You don't have to make it up. So that step 2 is done for you. It's there. Okay, so if you buy into that plan, which you did, that's why you're here, then the next step is to make a commitment to the plan. And that is, the commitment is an internal commitment. No matter what, I am going to live this way from now on. Okay, let's talk about commitment. There are 2 ways to live in life, and there are only 2 ways to live. There are 2 kinds of people in this world. There are those who live by commitments, and there are those who live by feelings. If you live by feelings, that is, I do what I want in the moment. I feel like eating, I'm hungry, I'm going to eat. I'm thirsty, I'm going to drink. I feel like having sex, I'm going to go have sex. I feel like reading, if I feel like going to sleep, I'm going to go to sleep. If I feel like not going to sleep, I'm not going to go to sleep. I have no commitments. Nothing is restricting me. I'm free to do whatever I want, anytime I want. It's all what I feel like in the moment. That's one way to live. The other way to live is to have commitments and to say, okay, I'm married, so I am faithful to my wife, because that's a commitment that I have. You're a member of a club or organization. Let's say you are on a soccer team. You make a commitment to that soccer team. You're going to show up at practice. The coach is going to scream at you, and you're going to say, yes, coach, yes, coach, yes, coach. And you're going to practice, and you're going to do your best for that team. You're going to put out your best as your commitment to that team. You go to church and you make a commitment to the Lord. Maybe you get baptized and you say, okay, this is my symbolism of I'm going to die, going into the water, being buried, and I'm going to come out a new person. And I am committed to following, to being a disciple of Jesus. That's a commitment. If you have a commitment to other religion, let's say you're Buddhist, you say, I am going to commit to this and I'm going to follow this. Or you're Muslim or whatever, that you can live your life by your feelings, what I feel like doing in the moment, or you can live your life by commitments. And why can't you do both? Well, you know what? Sometimes when you're on a soccer team, you're not going to feel like going to practice. But because of your commitment, you're going to do it anyway. Sometimes when you're doing the diabetes solution kit and you're going to feel like eating that piece of chocolate cake, but you're not going to do it because you have a commitment. So either you live by commitment or you live by feelings. You can't do both because they're going to get in the way of each other. They're going to conflict sometimes. And it's when there's a conflict that there's a problem. So why do we get married and we say, I promise to stay with you for life? And then sometimes you feel like, oh crap, what did I do? I have a ball and chain I have to drag around all the time. This is horrible. Marriage is awful. And sometimes you don't feel like being married. And sometimes you want to quit and give up and get divorced and everything and all. And it's not good and it's not fun. And I'm not getting my needs met here. Therefore, I should leave. No, you made a commitment for life. And you know what? There's really an important reason for that commitment. And that is that if you make it through the hard times, if you push through the times that you don't feel like doing it and you stay with it and continue practicing the piano when you don't want to practice, but you keep doing it anyway, then you get good. Otherwise, you never get good. And if you want to have a good marriage, you have to make it through the hard times and then it gets good. If you want to be a good soccer player, you have to practice, you use your commitment out on the field and then it gets good. And if you want to reach your goal of being healthy, you have to push through all of the hard times when your feelings conflict with your commitment. And you say, I'm going to live by the commitment and not by the feelings. Then you reach your goal and then you can be healthy. So there's nothing on the outside that's going to make that difference. It's your inner commitment that says, nobody knows that chocolate cake is there and I can eat it and nobody will see. But if you don't have an inner commitment, then you just go and eat it because I feel like eating it. But if you have an inner commitment, you go, who cares? I will know. That's good enough. Nope, not going to do it because I have a commitment to stick to this. So then that brings us to the last step. Step number 4 is the sacrifice. If you don't make a sacrifice, then it's not worth anything anyway. If you don't have to make a sacrifice, nothing is worth anything because you can't grow or change without sacrificing what you have now. What does that mean? Well, let's draw it out in a simple way to look at it. If you're climbing a ladder, I'm holding on to this rung of the ladder, and I want to reach up to the next rung of the ladder. I have to sacrifice my hold on this rung, let go, and then I can climb up to grab onto the next rung. But I can never move up the ladder unless I sacrifice the rung that I'm on now. Does that make sense? That's the sacrifice that you make in everything in life, whether it's playing on a soccer team, playing the piano, going to church, or getting healthy. You will have to sacrifice where you are now. You say, well, I want to keep where I'm in now and be there. No, that's not an option. It's not an option in any of those things. You can't say, I'm going to lay around the couch and watch soccer games and get good at soccer. People think they can do that, but that's not the way it works. People think they can go to college and put the book under their pillow and get it by osmosis. That's not the way it works. You have to put in the effort and make the sacrifice of everything you have now in order to move up to the next level in any endeavor in life. So yes, I'm talking specifically about getting healthy, and I'm talking specifically about the Diabetes Solution Kit, and I'm talking to you 80% that are just waiting for Dr. Saunders to say something to motivate you to actually get on the bandwagon and start doing phase one for real. Okay? It's got to come from within you. So this is it. This is your wake-up call. Make the commitment, read the plan, make the commitment, and then make the sacrifice, and you will see results. I will guarantee that. If you don't, I'll give you your $20 back. Because the seminars are free, right? I don't charge for those. You get what you pay for.
This is so good. I love this. Comment in the chat if this is exactly what you needed to hear. And also, I'm going to challenge you guys a little bit to open up your diabetes solution kits. Go to page 7. It'll be around there in your books. And find this page that talks about getting started, your commitment, defining your why, and spend some time there today if you didn't already. Spend some time there. You can rewatch this as well if you need to be remotivated by Dr. Saunders. This is recorded, so you can watch him tell you this stuff again. But dig into that why. I have talked with many of you, and our first conversations, you'll say, well, my goal is to not have to take medications. And then later we'll find out, maybe some of you have had loved ones who have had amputations and you saw them suffer and you saw them hurting and you didn't want that for yourself, or you want to lead a better example for your children and make some big changes. If you dig into your why, there's usually more powerful information that will keep you on track. So spend some time there today and really dig into that. I love, love, love what you've shared, Dr. Saunders. This was really good. Thank you so much.
It's in the book.
Let me just add a little bit, if I could, before we get to questions, if that's okay.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I think one way to make really good goals or commitments is to make sure that they are clear and achievable. So in business, we call it setting a SMART goal. And that would be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. And so like you might say, I want to reverse type 2 by the end of this year, which is great. But let's dig into that. Like, what does that look like? Like exactly, like I want my numbers to average like 90 or less in my morning blood sugar readings by December 31st, 2024. And that would be like specific and measurable. Like you can take that blood test and prove that. And then is it achievable? Yeah, that's for you to know as you know yourself. And is it relevant? Is it time bound? So otherwise, if you just say, I want to be healthier, that's just not specific enough.
Good stuff. I'm just going to comment here. Someone had said on YouTube, our goals remain firm. Some challenges are during vacations. We have learned better how to eat out. A1Cs are down for us. Okay. And then another question they have is how to manage stomach bugs with diabetes. Please answer.
Stomach bugs, like the intestinal flu kind of stomach bugs. Those are the ones I always think of. Or is it just being hungry and growling stomach? I don't know, but whatever, how to manage it is the same way you would manage anything else. The bugs will go away.
I thought you were going to say fast. I'm surprised you didn't say fast.
No,
that's usually the solution. Just don't eat.
That actually helps.
Yeah. Okay. Someone had asked, I am talking about the diabetes solution kit when I said go to page 7. I do not know how to get that off of my screen. It's a mystery how I have this blur on. So I apologize for this. I haven't been able to figure it out. But yes, the diabetes solution kit page, yours might be a little bit different, but around page 7, or you don't even need this special page. You can, you know what, if you want to get your own, if you're like me and you like to get your own special notebook for certain things, you could do that. Spend some time digging into your why and write that out in your notebook, set your goals there, etc. Anne said, I made this commitment on Sunday. Good for you.
All right.
Okay, if you guys can post your questions in the chat, or I'm sorry, in the Q&A, that would be wonderful. I'm going to start going through those. Okay, Marcella, first time here. Welcome. Well, I hope this was motivating for you. It was motivating for me. I don't even know what for exactly, Dr. Saunders, but I'm going to sit down and figure it out. So it was exciting. I'm going to push forward on some goals. Okay, Ben said, I have good control of sugar, 80 to 98. But when I have carbs, I feel terrible on my neuropathy. I take Nervala and berberine.
Okay, good. Well, that gives you an idea that when you eat carbs, your blood sugar is going up, and that's affecting how your nerves function, your ability for the nerves to get energy. So, so it's okay to not eat carbs or those things that cause your nerves to jump around. Eventually, that'll go away as the nerves get more resilient. But right now, they're kind of on edge and just barely healing, and it can take weeks or months. Nerves don't heal like super quickly. They take a long time.
Right. Charles says, I'm taking Cinechroma. I drink too much tea, black with milk. Is this harmful? My doctor just dishes out the drugs, which makes me ill, so I take no drugs. What do you think about tea and coffee drinking?
Um, well, black tea and black coffee have not been shown to increase insulin resistance. They can affect your sleep. They can affect your cortisol levels. So if you have issues with adrenal glands or sleep problems, then I often take people off coffee or tea who are having like insomnia issues and stuff like that. Other than that, there's really nothing wrong with black coffee, black tea. If you're putting milk in it, milk has sugar in it. If you're putting cream in it, some people use like whipping cream or heavy cream. That's fine. Or coconut milk is actually okay too to put in coffee.
Okay, I'm going to read this note here from Frank and Pat, and I'm going to compare these two here. So let's see. So here's an update from them. So Pat started phase 1 in May with glucose fasting 9.6. And on September 5th, that number, wait, glucose fasting.
That's a Canadian number, 9.6. That's like equivalent to 160 ish.
Okay, and now it's 4.7 now.
Wow. See, 4.7 is almost normal. That between 4 and 5 is kind of an optimum place to be. So you've gone from a significant diabetes, high blood sugar, over around 200 to a normal blood sugar around 100. So that's really good. Well done.
And then also, we're sharing some other numbers here. So we have insulin fasting was 91 in May, and now it's 12.
Wow.
Okay.
12 is almost normal. Less than 10 is normal. Okay. So that's good.
Let's see. Hemoglobin A1C was 7.0 in May, and now it's 4.7.
4.7? What? That's amazing.
Okay, let's see. I've got some more numbers. I'm reading between these. C-peptide was 875, and now it's 362.
Wow. That's great.
So they are now on day 9 into phase 2. The goal is to stay in the 5 to 5.4 range. What are the insulin and C-peptide means now? Where do you want those numbers now?
Okay, so insulin ideally should be around, let's see, in those measurements, so you're around 12, it should be around 5. A fasting insulin level should be around 5. And then the C-peptide would be somewhere around 0.1. So you're pretty close, 0.3, that's like not bad.
Okay. Gloria said we finally got our magnesium topical spray. For 2 nights now, my husband and I have had better sleep. Coincidence? Hope not. My question is, what is the chemical reaction to skin, body, brain whereby this works? Curious. Hope the better sleep continues.
Okay. The chemical reaction is that magnesium is required to relax muscles, and that includes smooth muscles, it includes the heart, it includes all the muscles of your body. And so when you have extra calcium, calcium causes contraction of muscles. Magnesium gets pumped in and switches with calcium to relax muscles. And so it's an important part of the energy system that allows that to happen too. So over 300 different enzymes require magnesium to function. So getting that extra magnesium is primarily a relaxation response. And most people who are deficient in magnesium find, especially if they take it at night, they sleep a lot better.
Okay. I'm going to send this message here to the team so that they can see that because they love to hear that. Okay, here we go. I used my magnesium last night. Patricia says, I would like this question to go to Joe. Oh, I don't know what it says. I haven't read it yet. Hopefully it's okay. All right. All right. I'm really glad that Dr. Saunders is talking about this, but I feel like both sides of this team need to keep their commitments. I would love to have a conversation with Joe because my experience is so much about what he's talking about right now. Maybe he can help find the right solution to my issue. I came on board with a goal to reverse the plaque in my arteries, which I have found Dr. Saunders online to do that in 28 days. I have yet to even address phase 1 regarding reducing stress with anyone. Can Joe help me? Okay.
Possibly, but Dr. Saunders could probably help better than I could.
And maybe I'm not fully understanding the question, I guess, here either, but
Where was that question at?
Q&A.
And it's by who?
Patricia.
Patricia. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to read the next one and I might come back to that one. Okay. Rayanne said, I've been using a continuous glucose monitor, Dexcom 7, for a few weeks now. Joe's question last week about its accuracy had me poking my finger at the same time, and the difference on the latest sensor is 40 points. If I had to inject myself with insulin, I would be injecting it and not needing insulin. Is this another scam to make people sicker? Literally, I'm at 99 with a finger poke now and 139 with the continuous glucose monitor. This morning, the continuous glucose monitor was beeping that it was too high at 182, and the finger poke was 139. I'm losing my faith in the continuous glucose monitor now. Just wanted to know if others have had the same issue. Maybe I got a bad sensor.
I wonder. The Dexcom is of all of the CGMs out there, the Dexcom advertises that they're more accurate than the other ones, but I don't know. I don't know how accurate they are. They're supposed to be within like 20%, and you don't know if the finger stick is accurate to within 20% either. So you can, on your app for the CGM, you can go into the app and you can correlate it with your finger stick, and it will work better with it. But I don't know.
All right. Okay. Oops. Click on this one. Let's see. Okay. Frank and Pat said, oh, after the follow-up with our doctor last week, she actually said to Pat, I guess you don't need the medications now. Music to our ears. We stopped to the meds at the beginning of phase 1.
Good work.
It's awesome.
So the doctor didn't know that you'd stopped it. That's kind of funny. Well, I guess you don't need them anymore. You hadn't been taking them. I've had a lot of people do that. You just, rather than argue with somebody, just go smile and.
Yep. All right. Anonymous says, I take Healthy Gut Restore with meals. Why do I have acid reflux and how can I fix it? Will using vinegar with meals help relieve this symptom?
Hmm. There might be some other issue. If you're having acid reflux, then look for why you're having acid reflux. Is it only when you take the Healthy Gut Restore? So if that's the issue, then there's enzymes in there that might be affecting you and how your digestion works and how your stomach works. So that might not be the right thing for you. But if you have acid reflux anyway, and the acid and the Healthy Gut Restore doesn't fix that, then you might look for other reasons for that. You could have a histamine imbalance. A lot of people have DAO deficiency, diamine oxidase, which is an enzyme that breaks down histamine. And histamine causes you to make a lot of acid. So even when your stomach is emptying out, if you have histamine, you'll make more acid, and you can have acid reflux just from that. So finding the underlying cause is really what you want to do. And if it's because of the Healthy Gut Restore, then yes, go off that. Don't take that, because that has digestive enzymes in it that might affect you. But if that's not the case, if you still have acid reflux even when you're not taking it, then look for why. Find out why, because you might be sensitive to some food that you're eating or something too. There's a lot of possibilities.
Okay. Kimberly says, I love that I found you all. I made the commitment, and thus is about me. I don't do sugar-free foods either. I've gone from 180 blood sugar to 110 blood sugar in 1.2 months. I never started the metformin because I wanted to know that it was me doing this. Thanks.
Good work. That's great.
Is great. It's awesome. Okay, Roseanne says, I've been doing phase 1 for about 6 weeks. I'm taking 9 of your supplements daily. How do I go to phase 2? My testing numbers within 2 hours of main meal have been below the 170 my doctor recommended almost from day 1.
Yeah. Okay. So remember, the doctors are recommending not based on an ideal number, but on what people can generally do. So if you are on drugs and you don't change your diet, then you're not going to get below 170. So if you look on the CGM, when you buy one of those, it'll say you're 120 to 170. That's that 50 milligrams per deciliter range that you can keep your glucose in. You know what? I always throw that out. I always you can move the goals and move it down to 100 or less. And that's where you want to be. So don't move to phase 2 until you are consistently under 100, especially if you're in the morning fasting glucose is 70 to 90.
All right. Let's see here. Paula says, doctor office directs I keep protein at 50 grams per day. All diabetes plans are heavy on proteins. Can I adjust portions to stay within that protein range? I have stage 2 kidney disease.
Okay. Yes. In fact, I've been doing the phase 1 ketogenic diet for almost 3 months now, and I have been able to do that. I've been looking at options. So the under 50 grams of protein is not hard to do, but you're going to eat differently. You're not going to eat like a whole bunch of meat with every meal. You're going to have small portions of meat and cheese. And then you're going to have larger portions of vegetables. So there's something called a vegan ketogenic diet that is all vegetables. And it's hard to get too much protein from that. But I made a lot of vegan salads that I would eat that had practically no protein in them at all. And then I would eat protein. I'd still have eggs and meat for other meals, but you can make whole meals. I made a stir fry that was both low carb. I didn't put any high carb vegetables in it. It had some squash and some pea pods and beans, green beans, and just non-starchy vegetables, broccoli and cauliflower. And so it was ketogenic, and also didn't have a lot of protein. So yes, that is something you can do, and you can use the diabetes solution kit because there's this list of free foods in there, and they're kind of hidden so nobody sees them. But we should like put them out in front and make them bold. So everybody goes, you can eat these as much as you want, and you don't count the carbs in them, like broccoli and celery and all that stuff.
I used to know what page that was on here. Enough people. Oh, I just lost it. Okay, I'll read the next question and look for it again. Okay, Brianne said my A1C was 7.3 30 days ago, and last week my A1C was 6.7. My triglycerides were always too high, never lower than 174, and last week's results were 120. Stick with the program, people. It works. My insulin levels are still a bit high, but that's because the meds my doc was giving me are still in my system, but I'm not taking it anymore.
Okay, so we love that. And thank you so much for that, because these testimonials, what they do is they give evidence to people that the plan is going to work for them. So then they have a goal, and then they say, well, is this plan a good plan? Is it going to get me to my goal? And then all of you guys that are going, yes, I did it, it worked. Yes, I did it, it worked. Yeah, I did it, and it worked really well. All of you people that are doing that are telling those people who haven't made the commitment yet, okay, this is going to work, so that they can put their trust in this, and they're going to say, okay, this plan, diabetes solution kit, it's going to work, so I'm going to commit to it.
Love it. Okay. Ellen said, I just got the Dexcom Stello. My readings are running a lot higher than normal. My diet has not changed. How can this be true?
Yeah, do the finger stick and make sure, like the last one said, there was a 50-point difference. Yeah. 30 point. Yes. And or 40. Yeah.
Yeah, 40. Okay. Dwight said, I just received the go-ahead from my cardiologist, but I do not need to lose any weight. My A1C is 6.0. Will it still be possible for me to benefit from the program?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. So your A1C is 6.0, but what you need to know is what your insulin level is. So do insulin, C-peptide, glucose, and hemoglobin A1C. And if your doctor can't interpret those for you, then the next webinar, send them in on the chat to Leslie, and we will go over them with you.
Yeah. Okay. Julia says, please give the insulin and C-peptide goal numbers in US measurements.
Okay. So the C-peptide would be around 1. So 0.8 to 1.2 is an optimum range to be. The insulin should be right around 5. So that would be like 3 to 7, somewhere in there is an optimum place to be.
And then also, how long do we want to sustain fasting blood sugars of 100 or less before we move to phase 2?
When you're confident that your diet's there, if it takes only a week, then if you do 1 week and you say, gosh, it's consistently under 100 every time, then you can move on. And guess what? If you go into phase 2, you start adding more carbs and it starts going up, you go, oops, gotta go back. That's not a problem. It's not a problem. It's not a loss to move forward and then go, I'm gonna have to take a step back.
Okay. Anonymous says, can magnesium be sprayed in the mouth, or is it for topical use only?
Don't spray it in your mouth. Nope. It's nasty. It won't hurt you, but it's nasty.
So also, this is my other recommendation. So I use it every day, put it on my skin. Don't use your hands when you rub it in. I rub it in like this. And that's because if your hands touch your face or anything like that, if you taste it, it's not going to taste good. So just saying. All right. Cheryl says, what is a realistic goal to get my A1C from 10 to 5.1? So maybe a time frame. Is that what you're asking?
Yeah, realistic goal. Okay, so that's what Joe was talking about. Is it a SMART goal? So from 10, wow, that's so, like, we've had people say, oh yeah, in 1 month it came down to 4.8
or less. People have said less. So yeah.
Yeah, 5. So from 10 to 5.1, you know what? A very like easy, reasonable goal would be about 3 months, 90 days.
Okay. Michael was having the same problem with his continuous glucose monitor as well. Okay, Ruth says, when you're taking Nervala for the first 30 days, it says to take 2 the first 30 days and then 1 moving forward. And how do you continue? For how long?
Okay, so if you have type 2 and you have neuropathy, then I would stay on Nervala long term. And so how long? There is no end date, like everybody needs it for this long. But it kind of gives you an indication. If you had neuropathy, then you're susceptible to it. But if you control your blood sugar and get your insulin resistance down, then it might not be an issue anymore. I don't know. There's no studies on that. I don't know how to judge this because I don't have a standard by which to judge. So I would say at least take it once a week after a year or two.
Okay, in this book, I just realized I think this is not the latest version that I have, but my free foods were on page 36, just so you guys know. So it's going to be somewhere around there in case you want to go find those really fast because you're getting hungry. Okay, here we go. Ruth says, oops, I already did that one. Where do you recommend getting a continuous glucose meter?
Oh, Stelo. It's STELO.com. Stelo.com.
Okay. Gary says, why do you get a different glucose reading from different fingers?
That's a good question. I don't know. I think it might be the monitor. The monitor has a range where it's accurate within a certain range. So 10% on either side. So it's about 20% change in each one. So it's not that it's a different finger. I wonder if you did it from the same finger twice, like you did one and then took that strip out, put a new strip in, and then did it again, if it would still be the same. I don't know.
Somebody should like do one in each finger and see what do. 10 pokes. Or I'm just thinking like maybe you need to shake the blood around a little bit, like, get it evenly distributed and then do it. Jump up and down. Yeah.
Terry said, are there any benefits to starting Nervala when you are dealing with Bell's palsy?
Yes, there are benefits. Bell's palsy is a neuropathy of the facial nerve, and it causes a droop. If you've ever seen anybody that has, like, they smile and it's crooked smile, that's a Bell's palsy problem. And it is a facial nerve problem, and that can heal. And so I don't have any research that says specifically that the alpha lipoic acid and benfotiamine will heal Bell's palsy, but it's certainly good for neuropathy. And I've given people injections of vitamin B12 and had them improve their Bell's palsy to the point where if they smiled, you could tell, but when they're just talking, you couldn't tell.
Okay. Maria said my A1C is 5.3 and I can't convince my doctor to check my fasting insulin. I have significant belly fat and high triglycerides too.
Oh, interesting. So your 5.3 is a normal A1C, and that's probably why they won't check the insulin. But see, that's an issue because doctors don't know this, that people can have normal blood glucose and still have insulin resistance long before they ever get high blood sugar. So that's really what you should check. So it's not hard to get that test. You can, depending on the state, you can just walk into a lab and say, I want an insulin test, and some of them will do it. If not, maybe you can find a doctor around that will do it. I don't know.
Ruth says, I have type 2, but 2 doctors say I don't have neuropathy, but yet I have all the symptoms. Does Nervala work on non-diabetic neuropathy?
Yes. Yes. Non-diabetic neuropathy is for other reasons, and the other reasons sometimes are circulation problems. If that's the case, Nervala would work for that. And so having an assessment to see if you have a circulation issue, that would be an okay way to do it. So for example, if you have an ultrasound of the arteries in your feet or your legs, or the veins, that determines the circulation. That would be a good idea, but sometimes it's other things. So neuropathy can be from vitamin deficiencies like folic acid or vitamin B12, in which case Nervala is not going to work for that. So if you have neuropathy and you're pretty sure it's not diabetic neuropathy, then look for the cause, because if you're not dealing with the cause, then it's not going to work.
All right. Let's see. Don said, I've been using the Cinechroma and the berberine twice a day. Wait, twice? Yes, twice per day since July. Is it okay for me to take fiber greens along with the above mentioned supplement? My goal is to get off of the diabetic drugs.
Okay. Yeah, that would be fine. The issue I have with fiber greens is it has some stevia in it that has sweet taste. And the sweet taste causes, many people have a release of insulin, causes insulin resistance. And really what you're looking for in reversing type 2 is to decrease insulin resistance. So maybe you should wait on the fiber greens until after your insulin resistance is gone, and then you can have fiber greens.
Okay. Kathy on YouTube says, what about tannic acids affecting digestion?
Okay, tannic acids, tannins come from all kinds of vegetable sources. They're pretty high in like tea, and there's a lot of different teas that have tannins in them, like even chamomile tea. And have you ever heard of like tanning a hide? I'm gonna tan your hide. Tanning a hide is taking the fur off of it, and just making it into leather, and that they use tannins for that, tannic acid, which is a pretty strong acid, and that's how they do it. They can definitely affect your digestion. And so avoiding that, if you react to that, is a good idea. But you know what? Not everyone does. So it's not something that is generalizable to everyone. It's, if you have a problem, definitely stay away from those.
All right. Okay, we have 1 minute left. Can you explain the dawn effect and how to improve morning glucose numbers?
Okay. The dawn effect is when you wake up, you make a whole bunch of cortisol. Cortisol makes you resistant to insulin. So if you already have some insulin resistance, and then your cortisol adds on to that insulin resistance, and at the same time you haven't eaten in a while, so your liver starts making glucose, and so now your glucose shoots up. And it doesn't bring it into the cells because you just made a bunch of cortisol and you're insulin resistant. So it's a marker that the dawn effect is not a normal thing. It's a marker for having insulin resistance. So it means you still have insulin resistance. That's why if people are testing their blood sugar, that we only tell them just test in the morning before, after you wake up, before breakfast. So before you eat anything, and if you're high, that means you have insulin resistance. And yes, a lot of that does come from the cortisol, but that's an additive effect. In the morning, you should not have high blood sugar.
Okay. All right. Thank you so much, Dr. Saunders. This was really, really good. And I'm excited to hear what people share next week after they've written out some of their goals. So thank you so much. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right. Okay.
And tomorrow's our Healthy Heart webinar. So come back and join us there. You can register for that at bartonwebinar.com. Same format. Dr. Saunders will be back and we talk about all things to keep our heart healthy. Anything else, Joe?
Not for me. Good
All
stuff.
All
Yeah.
right. We will
Thanks,
see
everyone.
all of you tomorrow, hopefully.